The old rinks, yeah, I mentioned Kincaid, Gravelberg, Vanguard. Those were the arenas that were closest to us. Hodgeville. But when Glen Bain is located approximately 60 miles from Swift Current, Saskatchewan, and that would be 30 miles south and about 30 miles east. And in that area, we had a number of small towns, there was only a few towns that had closed-in arenas, and a couple other towns, I believe that they still had at that particular time. I believe they still had grain in their arenas because they had these Quonset type arenas that if you'd store grain for X number of years, that it would become your arena to do with whatever you wanted to do with it. But in going back, some of the things that I enjoyed the most, like I say, was going to these tournaments. And to this day, when I go to these small arenas like an Oak Bank, I can smell the French fries, and it just brings back memories, or the other smaller arenas in this area. And that, to me, is a highlight. To this day, I still have those French fries. Well, I ended up playing with one of my idols, probably the biggest idol, and that was Bobby Hull. Probably the number one. Well, without a doubt, number one. And I was pretty lucky. But mind you, Gordie Howe and these guys, I mean, you just, for the longest time, too, we never, in the village of Glen Bain, we didn't really have, we didn't have power. And so we didn't see many of these games on TV, but you could hear some of the games on the radio. And it's kind of interesting how sometimes the absence of things really sparks your interest, So, and I remember listening to games on the radio, and then later like I say, we ended up fortunate enough to be able to get a TV, and we watched some of these games. And you heard, the Richards out of Montreal, Belleville, and these guys. I mean, it was really something that inspired me for sure. There was a guy by the name of, well, his nickname was Butch, but his actual name was Joel Leck. His dad had the grocery store, the only grocery store in Glen Bain, and he had played with the Moose Jaw Canucks. I ended up getting a ride down, his dad, his name was Joe, and Joe Sr., he would pick me up, and we'd travel to Moose Jaw, which was about 100 miles away. And just the thought of going down to ice level and seeing the smooth ice, I couldn't believe it. Just how people can skate on that. I mean, I was just, as you could imagine, being a youngster, wide-eyed, I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and then watching them play, and that continued. I seen a few games in Moose Jaw, and then when Butch ended up going to Grand Forks, they took me along to see the game in Grand Forks, and we stayed at the Westward Ho Hotel, and it was just amazing, and it just further sparked my interest in wanting to do something in the game. And and luckily for me, I ended up, as I was saying, I was a tag along to a training camp and ended up staying in Weyburn.